When my oldest child was 5 years old, we had the opportunity to visit France for a brief vacation. My husband and I were thrilled at the opportunity to visit this beautiful country and to share this experience with our son. We visited all the major tourist attractions and had an amazing time. At one point during our trip, we were trying to grab a late dinner, and much to his delight, my son spotted the golden arches. No, not the golden arches of heaven, but seeing a McDonald's in France for a 5-year-old, it probably felt like heaven. He considered that fine dining at the time. We were tired and hungry after a really long day of sightseeing, but as I tried to enter the restaurant, I discovered that the door was locked. We had no clue that the McDonald's was about to close. Apparently, they didn't stay open as late as the ones back in the States. I knocked on the door, and one of the workers opened it slightly, with a hint of irritation, I might add. In my very broken and pitiful French, I tried to order dinner for my son. The worker was now even more irritated. Not only did I arrive at closing time, but I couldn't even communicate in French. Disgusted, the worker walked away briefly and came back with a bag of food that he shoved at me through a barely open door. I was mortified by his treatment. The food was not what we ordered. It was like we were given what was left over from earlier that night. I knew my son would not eat this food, and as a mother, I felt like I could not provide for my child, all because I could not speak the language. My education, my profession, none of that mattered in that moment. I had been reduced to unfair and disrespectful treatment because of one characteristic, and my son witnessed the entire thing. That experience happened many years ago, but I remember it so vividly because it was life-changing. I took away a new level of empathy and respect for people who immigrate to a new country and do not speak the language. I had never imagined what it must be like to navigate a new city or country when you do not know the language. Have you ever felt dismissed, overlooked, or marginalized because of who you are? Our Savior Jesus can certainly relate. Or maybe you have regret about a time in hindsight where you realize you could have handled a situation better or with more kindness. Coming up next, we are going to look at how we can demonstrate the infinite love of Christ to all people. But first, we are going to observe a scene in the Bible where Jesus is not only the recipient of unfair treatment, he also advocates on behalf of someone else who was treated unfairly because of who they are.